to Taste of Torah. I'm Rabbi Gabi Ruit, and our Torah portion this week is Parashat Chayei Sarah. Parashat Chayei Sarah begins on a tragic note with the death of our matriarch Sarah. We don't know exactly what brought about Sarah's death, but we do know that her husband Abraham mourned her with deep sadness and bewailed her loss. He bought the cave of Machpelah from the Hittites so that he could bury her with care and dignity. Once Abraham concludes his mourning, he sets about the important task of securing a wife for his son Isaac. He instructs his chief servant to go back to his homeland and find Isaac a wife. Once Abraham's servant arrives at his destination, he sets up near a watering hole and prays for God's help in fulfilling his task. He prays, "O Lord God of my master Abraham, grant me good fortune this day and deal graciously with my master Abraham. Here I stand by the spring as the daughters of the townsmen come out to draw water. Let the maiden to whom I say, 'Please lower your jar that I may drink,' and who replies, 'Drink, and I will also water your camels.' Let her be the one whom you have decreed for your servant Isaac. Thereby shall I know that you have dealt graciously with my master." After he concludes this prayer, the very first woman that the servant asks for water is Rebecca, who replies, "Drink, and I will also water your camels." What luck! Abraham's first servant immediately finds the woman who will become Isaac's wife. But his method of choosing her is interesting. He asks for one thing, water for himself, but wants to see if she'll offer something he didn't ask for, water for his camels. Why would he do that? And why would such a plan ensure that God has dealt graciously with Abraham? One answer that I love comes from a Hasidic teacher from Poland, Rabbi Zevi Elimelech of Dinov. Rabbi Elimelech draws a distinction between the quality of Hesed, or loving kindness, and the quality of rachamim, or compassion. He says that rachamim is when someone asks you for something, and out of compassion, you give them what they ask. Rachamim holds an important place in Jewish tradition, and giving when asked is a value we hold very high. But Rabbi Elimelech goes on to say, this is not the case with the quality of Hesed, where people show kindness to each other, even with regard to something they have not asked for. Rachamim is about responding to a request, an important quality indeed. But Hesed is about much more. It's about seeing the needs of others and responding without being asked. Hesed requires empathy, awareness of the needs of those around you, and a willingness to get involved. Rebecca exemplified the quality of Hesed. Her innate quality of loving kindness led her to water the servant's camels because they were thirsty, even though she had not been asked. But why would finding a woman imbued with Hesed demonstrate God's graciousness towards Abraham? After all, Rebecca is destined to marry Isaac, not his father. The answer has to do with Abraham himself. In our tradition, Abraham is seen as the archetype of loving kindness, and Kabbalah equates him with the Sifra of Hesed. When Abraham implores God not to destroy Sodom, he demonstrates his loving kindness to all humanity, even those he's never met. When visitors come just days after his circumcision, he rushes, even in his post-surgical pain, to make them a feast because he understands they must be hungry and tired. Abraham embodies Hesed, and Rebecca will come to live in his camp and marry his son, a daughter-in-law who embodies the same type of loving kindness, especially when she is to marry his beloved son, is a gracious blessing indeed. Shabbat Shalom. For upcoming classes in Torah teaching, be sure to check out ravgabi.com.